Namaste and welcome to the World Yoga Festival. My name is Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavinda Rishi, author of the recently released Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive. It's my pleasure to be with you online, even though I would rather be with you in person. Congratulations to the World Yoga Festival and Ram Banerjee and his team for organizing this event. My topic this year is Bhakti Yoga, and it will be presented in two parts. I hope to take you deeply into the understanding of this practice. I've personally been a practitioner of Bhakti Yoga for over 50 years, and so I have a few tips to share with you. All right, so now we've discussed the 5 rasas. This is very important because everything that you are attracted to within matter has those rasas, if you just examine it. It's in a category of pleasure. If you just went through your life and categorized everything that you use as a regular source of pleasure, you would give it flavors. If you moved into food, you'd go to sweet, sour, salty, astringent, and pungent. Okay? So those 5 are all the foods you eat are sweet, salty, sour, bitter, astringent, or sweet. The 6 flavors of food. So every flavor you're experiencing can be experienced as those 6 flavors and broken down. And then you can recombine them and so on. So this is Bhakti. But with Bhakti we did 5 kinds of flavor and activity in the Bhakti. We haven't yet said what Bhakti is as a yoga. It has limbs also. Now I'm going to say these words slowly because there are 9 of them. There are 9 limbs to Bhakti Yoga, just as there are 8 limbs to Ashtanga Yoga. I'll say them all through once and then I'll explain each one. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Padasevanam, Atma Nivedanam. Those are the 9 limbs in Sanskrit. The first is Shravanam, Shravanam, Shravanam. Shravanam means to listen. First, you must listen. This is the first step. If you have got the right question and you've found a guru, then you Shravanam. What you're hearing from me tonight was given to me by my guru as the essence and secrets of the descent of Bhagavan in order to share with us, Manushyas, humans, the nectar and rasas of divine yoga, of Bhakti Yoga. In other words, to drink our fill of these intoxicating experiences that we have gone mad for within matter. Shravanam, or hearing from the right source, is the first step. The first limb of Bhakti. You must be ready to hear. To do that, you must have had enough human experience that you have the questions. And now you ask the questions, and the Guru has words for you to listen to. Shravanam is the first step of Bhakti as a yoga. You must now hear, and the second is Kirtanam. Kirtanam means, and then you must repeat it until you've heard it perfectly. First you must hear it, then both to yourself and to someone else you must repeat it so that it's internally become yours. And that is the answer, Marissa, to myself. I did those first 2 very diligently. I came with the questions already. I asked, Shravanam, Kirtanam. I listened, I repeated. I listened, I repeated. then the third limb, so that's Shravanam, first limb. Kirtanam, 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 repeating. You could say it's singing, repeating, whatever, reciting. Shravanam, Kirtanam. The third is Vishnu Smaranam. Smaranam means remembering. So memorizing is the third limb of Bhakti Yoga. Hearing, repeating, memorizing. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. The avatars come as aspects of the maintainer of all, and as the pathway through which visions of the ultimate reality descend into the realm of matter. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Number 4, Archanam, Archanam, Archanam. Archanam is from the word arca. The sun is called arca. We get the word archive from that. Archanam means all the forms that the truth takes. Archanam means trying to get an image or a form. It also means using a deity as a representation of what you have now heard. Shravanam, hearing. Kirtanam, repeating. Vishnu Smaranam, remembering, memorizing. Now, Archanam, trying to get the image of what you've been seeing, hearing, and remembering. And practicing like training wheels with a deity, with an image. These mysterious images that the Christians and Muslims and Jews got so upset about are no more than photographs. Imagine if I call you an idol worshiper because you have photographs of your baby. You say, no, dummy, I love my baby, not the photographs. And the photographs are just a way of loving my baby. Good. All right. So Archanam is how you connect to the ultimate source of all beauty. That's our fourth. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Vishnu Smaranam. Archanam. Number 5 is Vandanam. V-A-N-D-A-N-A-M. Vandanam. Vandanam means the activity of offering everything that you have to the form of Bhagavan. Remember, we're talking now to Bhagavan, the user-friendly source of everything. So Shravanam, first you hear. Kirtanam, then you repeat. Smaranam, then you remember. Vishnu Smaranam. Then Archanam, then you try to formulate it and see the image. Then Vandanam, now you offer things to that image and you do service and you offer yourself to that being via that image. One of the metaphors I like for this is during World War II, especially when photography was more abundant, the soldiers had pictures of their girlfriends or pictures of their family or pictures of someone they loved or their children to inspire them to keep fighting. Because the fight was not inspiring, it was terrible. So this is the Archanam Vandanam. This is the image. So now the divine is an image. It's beauty, it's a personification. You use other imagery to remind you of that. You offer incense, you offer a flower to a deity. What are you doing? It's training wheels for offering love. It's like going to dance school, but you're not in love with the person you're dancing with. But someday you're going to offer that same dance to someone that you are in love with. But first you're practicing and learning how to spin and learning how to hold the person correctly. So bhakti is love practice. It's learning to have a direct intimacy It's learning how to go steady with Bhagavan. Shravanam, number one. Kirtanam, number two. So, hearing, chanting. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Sorry. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Yeah, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam. The next is Dasyam. Dasyam is to serve, D-A-S-Y-A-M, Dasyam. So the sixth limb of bhakti is Dasyam. Now that you're clear, now that you have the image, now that you have listened, heard, repeated, remembered, meditated, adored, now you go into the next state of Dasyam and you present yourself to Bhagavan as a servant. How may I be of service? Usually you do this in an ashram or some way serving your guru. I spent 5 years in my guru's ashram doing whatever was needful, cleaning, helping every way I could possibly help, in any possible way that was still, of course, those ways have to be ethical, moral, and integrous. You can't be asked to do despicable things in the service of a guru. That's not serving a guru. So I was never asked to do anything that I couldn't consciensably do. But this is the Dasyam, the sixth. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. Now you become a servant in the service of those 5 things. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam. The beauty that you've been pursuing, you're now pursuing in a different way, as a yoga. Then you do the Archanam. Now you have deities or an altar or a focal point for this, or within your own heart you set up a similar system of visioning. And finally you say, I'm now your servant. Now, in everything you do throughout the course of the day, you look for an opportunity to be of service to Bhagavan. And often this is service to another human or another creature, but you really are handing it to Bhagavan. So you're intending it all the way through, whoever the recipient is. But it's a moment where you can be of service to someone, and through that you're actually leaning into your service with Bhagavan. So that's 6. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. Next is Sakyam, S-A-K-H-Y-A-M, Sakyam. Sakyam means making friends. Bhagavan and Arjun were best friends. Best friend is different than servant. Best friend has access to my intimate thoughts, and I can trust my best friend. When you best friend Bhagavan, you're doing just what Arjun did. It's gone beyond the theoretical. This is a very advanced stage, because this is when you do like this. You say, I completely trust you. Nothing that happens to me is coming from you trying to hurt me. It's just old karma. Nothing that happens to me is going to be misinterpreted by me as you against me, you not liking me. Nothing you could do would even make me feel that way, because right now, we're at the Sakyam stage. You're my best friend. I trust you implicitly. I could give you all my money and the keys to my house and the keys to my car and come back 10 years later and they'd still be there. That's Sakyam. Yes. Now 2 left to go. Pada Sevanam and Atma Nivedanam. P-A-D-A, Pada, which means feet. Sevanam, serving your feet. Or rather, at your feet, which I'll explain in a moment. And then Atma Nivedanam. There was a popular song about this one. All of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see? We already know Bhakti. We just don't know who reliably to give it to, who ultimately to give it to, who completely to give it to. And everyone we've tried to give it to looks a little bit like Bhagavan. Looks like they are a recipient because they show us some of Bhagavan. So Shravanam, listening. Kirtanam, repeating and chanting. Vishnu Smaranam, aligning yourself with that place of balance in which everything that's beautiful takes place. Cooperating now with Vishnu. Then Archanam, using the forms and having images and serving those images as a way to reach toward the person of which they are an image. Archanam, Vandanam, deepening the emotion that's present as you offer something, offer a flower, offer something to eat, offer what you're about to eat. When you see a yogi, a bhakti yogi, offer what they're about to eat, it's you eat first. And they know that when they say you eat first, Bhagavan takes a bite, and when Bhagavan takes a bite out of it, it becomes nectar. And when they eat that nectar, it's called prasad. And prasad makes you ecstatic, fills you with ecstatic joy. And any karma that came with the food is burned away. And all that's left is a pure, divine, exquisite nectar. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. I am hungry to serve, not just want to, not will if I'm pushed. I'm hungry to be of service. I'm looking everywhere for ways to be of service to life, to all living beings, to whatever sustains it and keeps it beautiful. Why? Because it all belongs to you, Bhagavan. They all look separate and they think they are, but they're not. And how else can I teach love but serving? How else can I teach love to the world but by serving them? Not by serving someone else, not by serving something abstract. They've got to feel it right in their gut and go, you didn't have to do that, did you? And then you respond, but in the service of beauty and love and truth, how could I not? How could I resist? And then finally, Sakyam, now you're there. Now there's no more fear. Now the Supreme Being is your best friend. Fait accompli. You are there now. That's your asana. That's your posture. That's your stance. That's the emotion that's displaced for a moment by somebody's despicable behavior or hatefulness or anger or hurtfulness or destruction. Whatever it is, it changes your channel for a second and you change it back and go, no, I don't live there. I'm best friends with Bhagavan. Now, Pada Sevanam. Which part of Bhagavan am I attached to? Right at the feet, which are called, amongst those of us who love them, lotus feet. The feet, and I know you've experienced this, if you've really experienced love, where do you start kissing your beloved? They're asleep and their toes are sticking out. And you start there. And you kiss their toes and say, I'm so lucky you're in my life. I'm so lucky you're in my life. Pada Sevanam. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. Pada Sevanam. There's nothing you would ask me to do that I wouldn't do. Because you love me so much, I trust your love for me so much, I know that you wouldn't even ask me to do something that would degrade me or harm me or hurt me. Pada Sevanam, I'm at your feet. I'm not going away. Once I decided, you can accept me or reject me. You can send me away. I still won't change my mood. My mood is that I know you are lovable. I am now at your feet. And there's only one thing left. And that's the 9th limb of Bhakti. And that's Atma, my core immortal being, my immortal self. Not just for you for a little bit, not just serving you because I'm in the mood, not just a little bit now, but irrevocably, no going back, forever, immortally, now and forever. Don't want to change channel, won't change, refuse to change channel. Atma Nivedanam, all of me, all that I am. Now, you decide what I am to do next. Please, you tell me what to do next, how to serve you. We're talking to Bhagavan. This is that awkward conversation that began with my thinking, maybe you'll harm me. The weaponized version of the Supreme Being used in religions who want to make people afraid and frighten them. Bhakti is just the opposite. Bhakti is, you see the beauty and you put it together that all that beauty is coming from a single source. And you say, I've got to find someone who can talk about that beauty. And you find a guru, Shravanam. Like Odette said, how do you talk about it so clearly? Exactly what we said when my guru came. Exactly. I've never heard anyone say these things. I've never heard anyone talk about love like this. We would all cry. He would cry. We would cry, and then he would cry because we were crying because he was crying over Bhagavan. And they weren't sloppy, messy, confused tears of a dysfunctional person. It was Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam. He introduced us, showed us how to make this offering, and it appears to be symbolic, but it's not. It's not. Just like Krishna said to the gopis, now I'd like you each to come out of the water one at a time, and I'm going to hand you your sari. Atma Nivedanam. Pada Sevanam. Now, Atma Nivedanam. Is there any going back? Do you want to go back? What's to go back to? The Bhakta answers. What's to go back to? I've burned it all in the fire of offering of love to you. I already understand that all I really want is to be in your service and that you can do whatever you want. You can crush me with your embrace. You can abandon me and leave me. I'll trust that your reason is reason enough. I'll trust that whatever happens next is still you taking me to where I need to go next. I've decided what emotions I'm going to hold on to and keep. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, I'm your servant. Sakyam, I'm not only that, I'm your very best friend. I tell you everything. I will do everything and anything for you. Pada Sevanam, I'm at your feet. I don't need to be anywhere else. Gopi, Bhartur, Dasa, Dasa, Dasanu, Dasa. I'll be the servant of your servant of the servant of your servant. 10 times removed. As long as we're connected. And Atma Nivedanam. All of me. Why not take all of me? Can't you see? I have nothing to lose. So this posture is a secret hand signal from Bhakti Yoga. This is Atma Nivedanam. This is, if anything is there that shouldn't be there, take it. Anything you want, take it. Oh, by the way, while you're there, all of me. I'm not holding anything back anymore. This, I'm still the balancer, aligning myself with Vishnu. Wonderful. To show everyone else, that's very useful. You don't do this for everyone else. It's too private. It's too intimate. And this is why bhakti is difficult to teach, especially in our world. Because first, you're not supposed to teach it until people ask. You're supposed to really be hungry for it before I ask. But my guru came and we were totally unqualified. I mean, we only had one qualification. Somehow, from some other life, from something, we tasted everything the world had to offer at that time, and we looked at it and we said, yeah, that was nice, that was nice, that was nice, but it ended. It keeps ending. Who will answer the real question? Where is endless, immortal, beautiful, exquisite, unlimited, abundant for everyone, with no one left out? Adoration and love and joy and sweetness and caring. Who can keep filling me with that? And right at that moment, the Guru says, I'm only telling you, there's one thing you have forgotten. Bhagavan's name and Bhagavan are the same. Name is the same. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Pahe Mam. It's now just between you and Bhagavan. It's now your yoga. It's now Pada Sevanam. And if you want, it's Atma Nivedanam. And all day long it's Shravanam, Kirtanam, singing Hari Haraya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya. I've gone from a nobody to an opera singer talking to Bhagavan, learning a kirtan so I can say all of his names and her names and see them together and ask if I can remember and ask to never forget. Always remember and never forget. That's the motto. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Pada, Sevanam. I'm at your feet. I'm ready. I'm there. Take me, take me. Atma Nivedanam. Again and again and again and again. What do you guys do that mantra over and over again for? Don't you ever get tired of it? No. Thank you, we don't. But what's the secret? Well, you kind of have to taste it. The secret's in the taste. But no rush. Don't worry. If you don't taste it yet, just taste love and then ask where it comes from. Be sweet. Start being kind to people. Show them respect, always. Never try to force them. Some of my brethren in the Krishna movement got a little pushy because they fell into such love. They thought they could just sort of, nudge everyone into it. Yeah, drag, throw, screaming and kicking, all the above. Stand at airports making fools of themselves for Krishna. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to do that. But it wouldn't be terrible if you got a few Bhagavad Gitas and gave them to friends. Oh, never mind. The 9 limbs of bhakti are for those who have fallen in love and can't forget. Who realize that a moment of that nectar is greater than anything else you could hold on to. People think you're famous? Really? Who cares? The world applauds you? Yeah, it'll last a couple minutes. And then you're a villain. It's fickle. Happy in your material situation? Love your house? Good luck with that. Staying in your body? Yeah, till you can't stay. So what to hold on to? Thank you, that's Bhakti Yoga. What to hold on to? What do you think, Sandy? Q&A? In the Bhagavata Purana, which is the book that I mentioned, which is the accompanying Leela text for Bhagavan's appearance when he spoke the Gita in that same time frame and earlier than that, prior to speaking the Gita. He had interactions with various humans, and each one of the situations was carefully scripted as a part of him being an avatar. One of my favorites is after Krishna left Vrindavan, he went to a city called Mathura, and he grew up there, had his own guru, went to school. Then, once he was fully mature, he went to another city, or rather he built one, known as Dwarka. Dwarka was his capital city, and he then lived there as a king, or regent, or ruler of a certain realm, and with citizens. And in each of these Leelas, he presented himself in particular ways. So in this one particular case, his first wife as a king in Dwarka was someone named Rukmini. Rukmini was playing the Leela of being Lakshmi, and Bhagavan was playing the Leela of being Vishnu. Why do I say that? Because Bhagavan iti, Paramatma iti, Brahman iti. This is from the Bhagavata Purana. Brahman iti, Paramatma iti, Bhagavan iti, Shabdyate. There's three different ways that the ultimate beings reveal themselves. One is as Brahman itself, that white light into which everything goes eventually and from which everything emerged originally, that transcendental realm. But if it's seen only as light, that's how it's presented at that moment. It's just called Brahman. Paramatma is the Supreme Being Bhagavan, pervading a universe in the heart of all living entities, in every atom, inside everything, as that which sustains it. And then Bhagavan is that being who resides in Brahman, who appears from time to time within Prakriti, within matter, and makes a revelation of self. When Bhagavan was playing in Dwarka as the king, he had the whole court of persons to have Leela with. There was an asura whose favorite thing to do was to kidnap young girls and then take them up into his mountain fortress and rape them and make them his wives. So he had captured 16,000 young girls and was keeping them as his slaves. And hearing of this one day, Krishna went and killed this asura. But then after he finished, all the girls said to him, "Well, thank you for nothing." And he said, "What do you mean? Thank you for nothing. I just saved you from this asura." And they said, "Yeah, but you killed our husband, and now we have no standing, and now we have no one to protect us. So now we were in bad shape before, but we're still in bad shape." I mean, went from one bad problem to another. Krishna said, "Okay, I see what you mean." So he married all 12,000, all 16,000 of them. So now he has 16,000 wives. Now, if you want to go there, now you're going there. You're going, "Oh, this is sexist, this is this is that, this is that." Yeah, except you see, Gopi Bhartur Dasa Dasa Dasanu Dasa. We all want to be feminine in the transcendental. Why? Because the female is the embodiment of pure love and pure service. The female form is the embodiment of the highest, purest love. So one of the secrets of the gopis in Vrindavan is that we, our Atma, could be a gopi. But it's not gender then. You don't have a male or female sex organ then. It's a mood. So try to understand, female, when you see male or female doing an archetypal behavior perfectly, for the moment they're embodying that archetype perfectly. But they don't consistently do that. Well, so anyway, Krishna married all these princesses. And he's living there, so he had to make each one of them a palace. So he built 16,000 palaces. And then he had children with all of them, and they all had 10 children. So now, just when it's starting to seem a bit ridiculous, he also has a best friend in the court as king, and his name is Uddhava. Uddhava is Krishna's best friend when he's in Dwarka as the regent, as the king. He's still got to have a friend, and this is his best friend. And Uddhava gets to serve him intimately all the time, because how much Dasyam do you get when you serve a king or a queen? Huge opportunities. It would be the same if you served the president of a country. If you said, whatever you need done, I'll get it done. Look how much service you would do. Okay, so Uddhava's like this. So Krishna says, do you know, Uddhava, there's something I need you to do for me. Ever since I was with the gopis in Vrindavan, way back when I was young, I haven't talked to them. And I love them so very, very much. So would you mind if I write a letter to them and you go there and read it to them on my behalf? All right, you ready? So Uddhava says, sure, love to. Gets in a chariot, travels the long distance, goes to Vrindavan, finds where the gopis are, goes there and says, okay, attention gopis, attention. I come from the court in Dwarka. I serve Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and he's given me a letter to read to you because he misses you and hasn't spoken to you for a long time. And he reads the letter to Radha and all the other gopis. Now, Radha is the one who loves Krishna so uncontrollably that no one can even understand the depths of it. Just crazy mad love. So Uddhava reads the letter to the gopis, and they're all just kind of listening and twiddling their thumbs and putting up with him, you might say. And when he finishes, instead of talking to him, Radha turns to a bumblebee that is on a flower and is eating the honey off the flower. And she begins to reply to Krishna by talking to this bumblebee. And she says, you're the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. You go from flower to flower, take the honey, and then keep moving. What do you care about us, really? So at the end of the letter, he said, if you want, you can come to where I am and live in Dwarka. And then Radha says, and as for your invitation to go to be one of your many wives in Dwarka, we'd rather stay here in Vrindavan and just remember the love we shared with you before. That is sufficient for us. They're saying, rather than compromise and have a lesser Leela with you. The Leela that Krishna had with the gopis has no rules, has no limit, has no end, and is innocent in its ultimate and yet loving in its ultimate. And it said that when they were dancing together in the Rasa Leela, which is the name of the dance where Krishna played his flute on the full moon night, and all the gopis came running, and they all started dancing and spinning in circles all throughout the night, dancing together with each gopi having a Krishna by her side. Because during that night, Krishna expanded himself so that every gopi had Krishna dancing with her. This is achintya, this is inconceivable, this is unthinkable. The gopis said, we would rather remember that free, unlimited, ecstatic, beautiful love with you than go be surrounded by wealth and be in the city, because you, in that night, which we now live again and again and again and again, you set us free with the ultimate ecstatic love that is our highest possibility. And so the truth is that during the Rasa Leela dance that you're seeing right now, Krishna danced with the gopis, but he made the night be as long as a night of Brahma, the creator. And Brahma's day is hundreds of millions of years. So in that night that you see depicted in this photograph, not only does Bhagavan, the ultimate being who's holding all the universes in place, but every dimension of existence can be extended or changed by him. And so these gopis represent our Atma being the ultimate existential being. It answers the question, if we're a person here, what will we be when we go back to Brahman? The answer is it depends upon your Leela with Bhagavan. If you wish, you can go merge with Brahman. If you wish, you can hang out in the space between, in the Nirvan. If you want, you can dance with Bhagavan. If you want that relationship, like the gopis did, then there's a puzzle. Do I have time, Sandy? The puzzle is, there's a paradox. And this is a mathematical puzzle. How is it possible for Bhagavan to be completely unlimited and to be endlessly expanding and unlimited, at the same time to be all-knowing? Think about it. If I say Bhagavan is all-knowing, then Bhagavan would know everything. But if I say, but simultaneously Bhagavan is expanding constantly, then every time he expands, there's something he doesn't know. And it contradicts him being all-knowing. So you can't be simultaneously always expanding and all-knowing, because each one invalidates itself each time it expands. You know and you're all-knowing, but then you're not all-knowing because it expands again, and there's no limit. So the question is, how do you explain this? And the answer is, on the Rasa Leela night, when Krishna was dancing with the gopis, of all the gopis, Radharani was the most beautiful. This is the divine couple, Bhagavan and Bhagavati, Shri and Hari, Krishna and Radha, who together personify as the very source of all ecstatic reality these two things now. What happened on the Rasa Leela night was Krishna went to see Radha. As amongst the gopis, he finally found her. And when he saw her, she was so beautiful that he went into a state of ecstasy. But when she saw him, she went into a state of ecstasy, and her beauty increased. And Krishna therefore looked at her again, and now his ecstasy increased. But when his ecstasy increased, he became more beautiful. She looked at him, and her beauty increased. And now that her beauty increased, he looked at her and had more pleasure. Then he reached over and kissed her, and then her pleasure made her so beautiful. She went into a state of ecstasy, and she went into a state of beauty that he couldn't understand. And it just so happened that this happened in the year 1490-ish, 15-something. And a person in India named Chaitanya took birth. And he was the personification of the competition between Radha and her ecstasy and her beauty, and Krishna and his ecstasy and her beauty and his beauty. And so this is the unlimited Leela of the ecstatic relationship between endless ecstasy and infinite existence, always expanding and then always becoming ecstatic to catch up with that, and again and again and again. This is called achintya. The Brahman realm is achintya. Achintya means it's unthinkable if you live within matter. But by direct contact with Bhagavan, you can understand this experience, that there is no limit to the ecstatic possibility. Our hearts are being broken by matter disappointing us. It shows us this possibility of unlimited ecstasy and then shuts it down. We know it's supposed to keep going. And this is where Bhakti broke our heart first. Beauty within matter broke our heart. The movie we saw on the wall and kept hitting the wall again and again and again and again, until we went to the place where the projector was, and then we went past the white light, past that veil, and inside we joined the makers of the movie that we've been chasing. The one we've been running after all this time is just to be a full participant. And the magnitude of our ability to be full participants is achintya. It's unthinkable within matter, because every romance we have within matter ends. And this is what the 9 limbs lead us to, the Atma Nivedanam. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the 15th century and shared this and lit Bengal in India on fire with this ecstasy of bhakti. And that is the bhakti which my guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, brought to the United States in 1963, 64, 65, about 1965 actually. I entered the temple in 69. And it was that bhakti, that mad bhakta, that crazy, mad, insane, ecstatic love that none of us were qualified for. And the amazing part of this is, if you just grab on and hold on, it just pulls you straight up. If you just hold on, it's different than faith. It isn't faith. It's a taste that you can't stop. It's an addiction. It's bhakti. It's the same addiction Krishna has for Radha. And it's, according to the Vedas, it is the very core of existence. It is the very activity and experience that all of us are mad for. It is the bumblebee that Radha talked to. It is what Uddhava learned when Krishna sent him to talk to the gopis. It is the hidden secret that none of the religions, they've all promised and talked about and whispered about, but they haven't delivered the goods. They haven't been given that last paradox. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Dasyam. And after a while, you won't even want to remember. You'll skip right to Pada Sevanam, Atma Nivedanam. I know. But I don't care now. It doesn't matter now, because now Bhagavan has let me taste this, and I don't want anything else now. But in order to do this, I must be dasa, dasa, das, anudasa. I cannot be arrogant. I cannot be haughty. I cannot think I'm something wonderful. I cannot tell the world how wonderful this is and that I have it. I can only serve. I can only beg. I can only speak it in a humble, soft voice. I can only speak it to those who are staying, even when they're threatened with hearing it, who choose to hear it. And then I can do nothing about what they do with it except they may decide, and only they, because that's the secret of bhakti. Only we can decide our relationship with Bhagavan. And Bhagavan is in no hurry. And Bhagavan will go with whatever we want. And we couldn't imagine that. We couldn't fathom that. We thought that there had to be a catch. Someone had to be forcing someone. Someone had to punish someone. None of the above. Only pure, unpredictable, unadulterated, infinite, unlimited, ecstatic, sweet, nectar, honey. The taste you had was right. The thimble full undid you, and you remembered who you were for a moment. And if you were lucky in that moment, you started looking for that and decided you wouldn't settle for less. I will remind you, and for some of you, you might know this story, but in the middle of my knowing this and feeling this, our guru at that time, Prabhupada, taught us a mantra. He would do this once in a while. We'd be given it in assembly, 500 of us, 300 of us, 400 of us in New York in the temple room. And he would speak, and a new mantra would be given to us, and he would teach us how to sing it. And I often was guard to his personal quarters, and on this particular case, I got to sit right in front of him 3 feet higher up than me, and 3 feet from me in front of me, the whole room assembled behind me, and all of us with the words to this song. And the song is about Krishna and Radha's most intimate love for one another. And this is the first time it had been taken outside of India in any way, shape, or form. And this was the first time a song about it had been taught to a bunch of crazy, drugged out, unqualified, who knows what, with no thought to what they would do with it in the future, the consequences, other than this is the Leela, folks. This is what crazy is. It's crazy, crazy, or crazy love. Your choice. And he said, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. And as he uttered those words, unexpectedly to him and all the rest of us, tears squirted out of his eyes 3 feet out into us, the audience, all over my face, sitting right in front of him. Gopi Jana Balava Girivanadhari. The gopis are longing for Krishna. Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. He showed the whole cosmos to his mother Yasoda in his mouth as a child. Jamunatira Vanachari. He was with the gopis in the Jamuna River and in the Rasa Leela. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banatari Hare Krishna, gushing tears out of his eyes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, so much more than I ever bargained for. I, born in the suburbs of dirty Motor City, raised on dead animals, given a philosophy for the weak-minded and tortured sheep who was unqualified in every possible way, who had nothing to offer. Nothing of equal value. No clever reply. Nothing to say back. Nothing to give back. A gift you can't repay. A gift you can't forget. A love that leaves the word love behind, that requires a whole dictionary of love words to talk about. A lila, a rasa, the lotus. Now every flower, every bird, everything beautiful speaks of this love. It was hinting it to us all. It was telling us, but we didn't know what to do. We went crazy with it. We became crazy poets, or drugged out, or in despair, or committed suicide, or destroyed the person we loved. We did a myriad of things in the name of that love that didn't do it justice, and that didn't find its pure essence. And this old man who looked like Yoda, who could speak your language well enough to touch your heart, suddenly opens the doors, opens the window, and all that nectar flows down onto you and washes away everything that was the unhappy residue of a myriad conflicts and wars and horrible deaths and torturous violence all around you, of killing innocent women and children with bombs. A medicine that could heal those wounds. A medicine that was so abundant, and it was free. And an old man who had $5 in his wallet and a borrowed steamship ticket and a suitcase full of books came and dropped it down on you. And he didn't even care who it got dropped on. He didn't even ask. My beloveds is what I offer to you on his behalf, on their behalf. Thank you for listening. Sandy, it's yours.